Hi crafty friends! Today I'm going to be showing you a design team project for Ooh La La Vintage Treasures, and I am going to show you what I did with the bag, just like this, using Doreen's beautiful kit. I'm going to show you a few pages right here. And this one is the Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance kit. And I will show you what I did with this kit. So I'll go through a few of the pages so you can see how lovely this kit is. It's got such a vintage feel. There's some beautiful background pages. And look at that with the gorgeous perfume bottles. Isn't that lovely? And then some of the textile pages. I say this all the time, but every time Doreen comes out with a new kit, I say it's my new favorite, but she really outdid herself with this one. This one really spoke to me. I had so much fun playing with it. Look at the gorgeous vintage dresses with all the ruffles, the sweet little boots. Just love it. Beautiful guest checks. These are some of the ephemera pages. Lovely compacts, very old-fashioned. I just love that. And some beautiful lipsticks and little hankies, and then the vintage lipstick holders, and then some beautiful pens and beautiful pocket watches. And wait till you see what we've done with this. Absolutely beautiful clutches. So that is only part of the kit. There are so many pages, and once I got through and I started printing out these pages to show you, I realized there's even pages I hadn't used yet. So I'm going to have so much fun playing with this kit again. So, are you ready to see what we did with this bag? I'm so excited to show you. Look at this. Is that not lovely? I created a little purse, and this purse is stuffed with ephemera from the kit. So I will start by showing you the front. I used one of the collage pages, and then I put a piece of vintage fabric over it and some vintage appliques that I had gotten at an estate sale. And then I tied it with this beautiful vintage ribbon or lace. I used one of the little flowers in the ephemera page, and I backed it with some pretty little ruffled ribbon. And then I added some pearl dangle trim. And then to fasten it, I put some little eyelets in there on the front and on the back. And I used this beautiful page we just saw with all of the roses on it. Let's see if I can grab that one for you again quickly. This page I put on the back of the bag and used some more of that vintage lacy fabric from the estate sale. And I love to use this kind of fabric because you can still see through it and you can see the beautiful digitals underneath. I think it's almost a crime to cover these digitals up because they're so lovely. But I wanted this to have a very vintage, old-fashioned feel. And I think it came out just darling. I wrapped the little handles of the bag in some crinkled seam binding. And then I made this luscious dangle on the side. And I think, let's take this off so you can get a good look at this. This was so pretty. I love to add dangles and little snippets of things that can be used elsewhere in projects. And this one I think just turned out so beautiful. Look at that. All the luscious layers of lace. I added a dangle that I had made. And then out of the ephemera, I took these little pieces and I covered over them with my glossy accents so they have some heft to them. And it almost looks like they are, excuse me, laminated. And then I embellished them with pearls and rhinestones. And I think they just turned out so, so sweet. And it gives them some heft so they don't tear on the dangle. And then I just added layers and layers of beautiful lace and fabric snippets. Most of this is vintage. This fabric piece is a piece of vintage fabric out of Doreen's Precious Bits kit that I received a while ago, and I thought that just looked so lovely with this motif. And then I added a vintage button card, and I just left it as is, so the recipient of this can do with it what they will. And then a pretty piece of appliques flowers, and then another piece of this vintage lace that I used on the tie. So I just think that turned out so, so beautiful. Look at how luscious and frilly and girly that is. So let's put it back on, and then we'll show you what's inside. I am so excited to show you this. This was really a labor of love. I've been working on this for a couple weeks off and on, and every time I thought I was finished, I added something else. And I have to tell you, this morning I was going through it one last time to make sure all the ephemera was in the right place, and I did more embellishing while I was doing that because I just don't know when to stop. So I hope you love it as much as I do. So let's peek inside, shall we? We'll untie this beautiful ribbon. This is about a yard of ribbon or lace. I keep calling it ribbon. I don't know what's wrong with me today with my words. But this is about a yard of this beautiful vintage lace. And you just pull it through the little eyelet there and open this up and look at what's inside. Is that not beautiful? I just love, love, love it. So where shall we start? Let's start here at the bottom, and we'll look at what I did with one of the little clutches. So all throughout you'll see little dangles and little embellishments. So there's a little heart dangle, and then this little clutch, I added some coffee dyed applique that came off of a wedding dress, and I made a little foofy flower here with some beautiful lace, and I used some of the crinkled seam binding and did some little shaggy tassel there. Lined the top with some beautiful vintage lace, and I put some little rhinestone trim. And on the back, I just did a little more of the trim, and I left it plain so you can see the lovely, lovely digital. And then as you open it, oops, my little magnets are getting, I put little magnets here to kind of keep it closed. So I made a little belly band out of one of the ephemera pieces, and I just embellished that, did a little collaging of some of the pieces at the bottom here. I tucked one of the little pens in, and I used my glossy, no, not the glossy accents, what is this called? The stickles, the pretty stickles to do the glitter embellishments. And then here's one of the tags with the crinkled seam binding and vintage lace. And then I just did some collaging with some rag paper on the back that was dyed, and some vintage music page, and some more of that vintage lace that was on the front. And then isn't that piece pretty? I just love that that digital right there. That is so pretty. Tuck the little pen back in there, and then on this side we have one of the little perfume bottles that I did the stickling on. I don't know, I hope you can see that. The beautiful glitter that I used to enhance. And then another tag with some applique that I cut up and some lace. And then on the back I put a piece of coffee dyed paper on there and backed it with that, and then just made the tag out of a snippet of lace. And then on the belly band over here, I just did a little collaging of some of the ephemera pieces and some of the vintage lace and some velvet ribbon. And look how lovely that piece looks. I just absolutely love that page. I think that's probably my favorite page out of the book. So we have that. Isn't that sweet? And then I cut out some of the little vintage gloves, and I did some more of the stickling on the bottom, and I added some little pearls. And then on the back, just a little lace collaging and a little piece of vintage ledger sheet down there. And then that makes a sweet little journaling spot. And then on the bag, this part that I folded up here, I cut the top, and then I stitched this whole bag all the way around with my sewing machine. And I cut this top off, and then it made two little tuck spots. So there's a little pocket in here. So I covered the bottom of the bag with this beautiful embossed and coffee dyed paper, and I used some vintage lace to make my belly band, and embellished it with some tatting down here, vintage tatting. And then this is the fabric here that I wrapped around to just kind of secure this bottom so it stayed nice and secure. And then in this little tuck spot here in the pocket, I did another little one of the little clutches. And this one, I put this beautiful dangle that I made, this pearl dangle, and I attached this with a little safety pin, and I made just a giant snippet. And I didn't glue it down. I wanted to be able to see the beautiful clutch, the front and the back. Oh, I've got little strings I need to trim. And I thought that this could be used in whoever receives this in their future projects. So this is just another lovely snippet, piece of vintage wedding dress that a dear friend of mine sent me, and some more of the vintage lace. This is a piece of the covering for the front and the back of the purse, and another snippet of that vintage fabric from Doreen's Precious Bits kit. And then look at this piece. I got this one at an estate sale, and this is so pretty. This can be cut down the middle and made two pieces out of. You can even cut this little piece off the top here and have three pieces, or you can leave it whole and use it like an insertion lace and weave some satin ribbon through there. So that is pretty. So that is a beautiful little dangle. And then inside is some more ephemera. So I used another piece from the kit that I cut up and made a belly bands out of. And I trimmed that one in some tatting. This one I used some more of the vintage lace from the tie, and I did a little collaging. And I tucked in this side, I made a little booklet out of one of the ephemera pieces. Oops, I got it glued down here a little bit. Oh, I'm stuck. Get that out without tearing it. Oh, shoot. I did not want to get that stuck. There we go. Okay. So I used a little lace to trim the top, and then it folds like an accordion with the beautiful vintage ladies. And then on this side, I just did some collaging with some tatting and some little netting and some more of the ephemera pieces. Just a little piece of lace on that one, and then a little collaging on the bottom. And I think that just turned out so sweet. A sweet little journaling spot. And then I tucked in here also one of the little lipsticks and another set of the beautiful vintage gloves. And on this side, I tucked in pieces that I didn't use, that I had cut out already, and I thought the recipient could use in their creations. So I just attached it with a little paper clip. There's a little pretty there, little piece here. I use my die cuts and I cut a little label and a tag. I love making the journals, but I also so love doing the ephemera. I think that's part of my favorite things about journal making is the ephemera. And I love when I get things that have little bits and pieces tucked in that I can use and put my own spin on it. So in this little packet we have some of the little hanky pieces and fabric pieces. That was a piece of one of the pages that I cut and didn't use. And then here's a set of the sweet little boots. And then I just used a little bit of crinkled seam binding to tie on the paper clip. These tiny paper clips I absolutely love, but boy, they are something to get back together. So there's that one. And then I tucked in one of the perfume bottles, one of the little watches, and one of the little lipstick cases. So that all tucks in there. And that can all be used in future projects. And then we paper clip this little bundle back on. And look how sweet that is. It looks so pretty and embellished without being all glued down. So there is that one. And then let's look at the top. There is so much going on here. I just absolutely loved this. So I made a belly band here. I used one of the die cuts and I did a little overlay here and made that really pretty. Used some of the seam binding, some applique, and then I did some stickling on the little flowers and made that. That could be used as a little journal spot, or you could do it into a little flower like on the front cover here. See how pretty that would be. And then I did the little lipstick case, and I printed on the inside and did a little lace addition there, and this could be used as a little secret journaling spot. And this inside I used her I think it was the vintage Ruffles and Roses kit that I did on the inside here for the printing. And then I used some of the little hanky pages and just did a stacked collage with some lace and did some stickling on that so it's shimmery. And then on the back it's printed with that Ruffles and Roses, and you could add a little piece of coffee dyed paper or something on there, or use a dark marker and do journaling just as it is. So that tucks in there, and then look at how pretty that page is. That was one of the pages that we saw. Let's see if I can grab that quick. That was this page right here. I used that page to line this whole piece there. So we'll tuck these back in. We'll kind of tuck in as we go so I remember where it all goes. And then on this side, I added a little dangle here and some lace on the top, and then I made some tags using some vintage lace, some little rhinestone embellishments. This is one of the beautiful ladies. And then I did some collaging on the back, and that makes for a sweet little journaling spot. And on this one, I had found this lace on eBay. It was a vintage spool of lace, and I got it, and I tell you, this I have just had so much fun using. It is so soft and just so dreamy. It looks so pretty, very vintage. So I used my die cuts and I made a little tag out of one of the pages. I did a little stamping with my stamp set and did a number on there. Added a little pearl detail down there and a little little dangle that I had made out of some pearls. And then on the back, I just did a little stamping right there. And then this one, did the same thing with the die cut out of one of the pages. Did a little collaging here. I added this sweet piece of netting. I just love that. It's so soft and foofy. I think that's so sweet as a topper. And on the back, did a little collaging with some of the tatting, some of the vintage fabric, and a piece of vintage journal page on that one. And then I used my die cut and I cut this stacked little frame here that everything tucks into. And I think that is so sweet. Just layers upon layers of loveliness. Isn't that pretty? And then to hold this closed, because it folds open, I used a little clip-on earring. Just a little clip-on earring. And then we'll open this up. We'll flip this dangle over along with it. And then we have the inside. And I did another stacked set of tags, and this one I used the guest checks that Doreen had printed for the ephemera. Quite a few of these items have stitching. I stitched around the edges, did the little embellishing on there, added some little pearls, and on the back I just backed it with some coffee dyed paper and left it so you can see the stitching, and then just kind of ruffleized a piece of lace for the topper. And then this one, just added a little lace and a little bit of rhinestone detail. And this was cut from that piece that I said was my favorite page. I just love all of the collaging on here, the music and the beautiful florals and the vintage ledgers. I just absolutely love that. And then again, a piece of that soft, dreamy lace for the topper. And I backed it with a piece of vintage pattern sheet, and then just did a little lace collaging there, and then you can see all the stitching down there. And then the last tag in that stack, I just did some collaging on the side. You can see the stitching there. Made a very simple topper and backed it with some coffee dyed rag paper. Added just a little rhinestone embellishment and then left it so you could see the stitching, and left it kind of shaggy. I love that shaggy raggy look at the bottom with that rag paper. And then on this stacked tag, I used my die cut to make this stack, and then for the backing I just used the stickling and I went all around it for a little bit of jeweled look, little sparkle look. And then I used some more of that dreamy lace and just did a little detail there and added a pretty bulb pin that I had made. And it kind of, when you close the book or close the folio, it kind of hangs out the side, which I love, so you can see it there as well. So let's see, how did this go? I think it was this one, and then this one. Not that it matters, I guess. They're all pretty guest checks. And then this one. Doesn't that just look so lovely? Just all of the beautiful digitals with all of the lace. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how much I love this kit. And then for this flap, I took 2 pieces of the digital page, and I folded it up on this side and on the other side to make the pockets. And then I stitched it together, so you can see stitching all throughout. And then on this side, I did a die cut here and made a little belly band. Used one of the beautiful lady pictures and put some of that pretty ribbon trim that I said you could cut into pieces earlier. Added a little rhinestone there. And then on the back, some tatting and a piece of vintage ledger page. And then on this little tag, just some of the lace and beautiful piece of vintage lace with pearls up there and sequins, little piece of rhinestone there. Look at how pretty that is with the beautiful teacup and the little flowers. And then I did the stitching around that one and just backed it with some vintage rag paper. And then you can see the stitching on there. So that is that one, and then I tucked in one of the little lipsticks, and isn't this sweet? I used the stickling, the glitter, and I glittered it up so it gives a little sparkle, and I added some little pearl embellishments. I hope you can see that because it is so, so pretty. So feminine. That just reminds me of my grandma. She had all these little purse accessories and she absolutely loved them. She had them in all of her purses, and the whole time I worked with this kit, I thought of her. She was just my pride and joy. I absolutely adored her. And then here is another one of the vintage lipstick cases, which I did the stickling on as well. And then I printed that on the inside with the vintage ruffles and roses, I believe. I hope I got that one right. I'll have to look. But I will link it down in the description so you know exactly. And then I just did a little lace collaging there. And I think that is so pretty. And then this is darling. Look at this compact. I did the stickling on that with the beautiful glitter. And then wait till you see inside. I used some foil pages so it has a mirror effect. Isn't that just the sweetest? I can see my reflection in there. And then I did some collaging here with the tatting and some lace and the crinkled seam binding and rhinestones, just to give it a little extra something something. I just think that turned out so, so sweet. I love that piece. I had so much fun playing with the ephemera. Every time I got a little section done, I thought, okay, I'm finished. And then I'd look at the kit again and I'd think, no, I'm not. I have to keep going. It's just so fun. So doesn't that look so pretty all tucked in there? I just love that. And then we will flip this over here. And look at how pretty that dangle is. Oh, I can't stop looking at that. So then on this side, we looked at this already. We'll open it to this. And we have 2 more sections. So on this side, I did one of the tags and did the stickling on the tag. Did a little piece of applique topper and put some little pearls on there. And I backed it with a piece of rag paper that I left raggedy. Did a little detail on the top there, and I wrapped this paper and folded it up here on the bottom so it gives it a little sweet look. And then I just tucked in some little vintage ephemera from my stash. This is a check from December of 1949. And it's got the endorsement on the back and the bank stamp. I just think that is so pretty. And then a little letter, a little postcard, and that is from 1968. And it's to Mrs. George Attridge in Aurora, Colorado, and then it's got the writing on the back. I think that's so fun. I just love reading all the vintage letters and postcards. And there, before we stuff this all together again, you can see, I think you can see the stitching that goes down the sides. Just gives it that little extra detail and security to keep it all together. Tuck that back in and the beautiful little tag. And then on this side, I did a belly band. And then I used a piece of that ribbon trim and did a belly band on top of that. So we've got one of the little ephemera pieces that I stickled all up with the glitter. And then on the back, I just rubbed my stamp that I used to do the edging. I just rubbed that on there to give it a little worn vintage look. I think that's so pretty. And then on the belly band itself, I used the stickling again, and I just went through all the roses and did some squiggle lines around them, and that has just a pretty shimmer as well. So we tucked that back in there, and then tucked into the larger belly band, I made a little tag pocket. And inside the tag pocket, I put a big piece of applique, took it all the way down into the pocket part. I did a little pearl embellishing there with the tag. And then on the back, I left it rather plain, just did a little bit of embellishment on the top. So, and I left it so you can see that beautiful rose detail, and that's a perfect journaling spot. Isn't that pretty? I love the tall tags. And then inside, I also tucked some more vintage ephemera, and I chose this little dictionary word, very, and on the back it has the writing as well. And I chose very because I thought this turned out very, very beautiful. And then here's a little vintage picture of a lady. And then I embossed just a little scrap piece of one of the pages that I didn't use, but I didn't have the heart to throw away, so I used my embossing folder and just embossed that, and that could be used for embellishment down the line somewhere. And then for the tag pocket, I did the stickling all throughout that as well to give it a beautiful little shimmer, and it matches the belly band. And I think it looks so lovely when it's all put back together between the applique and the shimmer. I just think it's so, so pretty. And the pretty embossed piece with the lacy applique. I just love layers and layers of luscious. We'll put that one back here. And then the little word card on top. And then we'll tuck that back in. So that is the folio part, but we're not finished yet. If you open it up and look inside, you get the ribbon out of, or the lace out of the way. Why do I keep calling it ribbon? Look at what's in there. It is stuffed with more ephemera. So let's start. We'll start right here. And this is a little bundle of vintage ephemera that I just included to use in the recipient's journal making. I added another one of the little ephemera pieces that I did the glossy accents on as a dangle, and added a beautiful vintage looking key on there. Tied the little paper clip with some lace. And then inside here we've got a stamp. We've got a coach ticket. for probably a train. We've got a gold bond stamp card that has some stamps on it. We have another vintage letter. This one is from 1943, and it is from an Air Force corporal, I believe. And it's got the whole letter in there. It's to Vera, and it's so sweet. Signed, "I love you, Jim." I think that's so, so beautiful to have these memories preserved. It makes such a lovely addition to a journal. And then I tucked in this little vintage book page, and it has some little quotes on it, and it says, "What's good for the goose is good for the gander." And on this side it says, "The older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune." And I thought those were very befitting for a vintage inspired journal. I can remember my grandma saying, "What's good for the goose is good for the gander." So there's just some little extras. That little, between the tininess of the paper clip and the fingernails, takes a little doing to get it back together, but I think it looks so sweet. So there is that. And then the next thing we have inside is a tag, and I used one of the lovely ladies, and for her ruffly skirt I used some ribbon fabric and did some layers of lace, so it's like a dangle, and then just did some collaging of lace and a little rhinestone embellishment on the top, and on the back just added some more lace, and then you've got a little journaling spot there. I think that's so pretty. And then we have, let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's do this one next. I took another one of the ephemera pieces and did a little snippet of lace and a little piece of pearl trim. And then this was just some trim here. And then you open it up, and it's a trifold. It's got the beautiful vintage dresses with the ruffles. I used some netting and tatting here to embellish. And then you open it up, and it's just collaged and embellished all throughout. I backed it with a piece of tea-dyed paper, and it makes a wonderful little journaling spot. I love the little bow. And then when you turn it over, you see all of the pretty little dresses. I just think that's so, so pretty. So there is that. And then next we have a little booklet that I made, and I tied it up with some different crinkled seam bindings, 3 different colors. And then I used a pretty diamond paper clip, and I took one of the pages and I embossed it to make the cover. And then when you open it up, it's got a piece of vintage music page, a piece of rag paper, and it's like a little mini journal. And then some collaging with one of the lipsticks. And this is actually an envelope that I tied into this, to the little signature. And inside we've got a little tag that I cut out with my die cut. On the back we've got just a little embellishing there. And then on the front of the envelope I did a little collaging. That all back in there. Did a little collaging with a few of the ephemera pieces. And then this is a little vellum page. And then I did an embossed page. Or no, this one I did not do. This one was from the Precious Bits kit of Doreen's. That was one of the pages she included in that one. And then this is a coffee dyed paper, of course. And then the center of the signature, I just tucked in one of the little ephemera pieces. And I thought that looked so pretty in there. And then on this side, we've got the pretty coffee dyed paper, of course, again. And then the beautiful embossed page, the vellum piece. Here's the other side of that envelope. And then the rag paper in the back with the vintage music page. We'll just attach that, oh, wrong way. Attach that back on there. And I think that's so sweet how that looks so ruffly and foofy. So there is that one. And then here is another one of the clutches. And I embellished this one with a lot of appliques and lace. I fastened it closed with a little paper clip with that pretty vintage lace. And I used some of the ephemera pieces, cut them out, did some fussy cutting, added a little bit of that netting and some pearl detail in the center, and then lots of little collage pieces all throughout. Here's some more of that netting I made into a little flower and put a pearl center. And then I used a little cluster embellishment for like the little closure. And then on the back, I left it relatively plain. You can just see a piece of the tie that ties the signature in there. But again, because I covered up the front, and as I'm covering up the front, I'm thinking, oh, I'm covering up the whole beautiful digitals. But I wanted this to be very embellished, and then the back, I wanted to leave plain so you can see that gorgeous, gorgeous digital. The sun's setting, and I'm getting that little light shadow through here. I apologize. So let's open this one up. This one I made into a little mini journal. So on this side I used a piece of wallpaper, and I did stitch around each one of the little clutches that I showed you. I did stitch around with my sewing machine. I think I forgot to mention that on the other two. And I did a little lace belly band, did one of the beautiful tags, did just some little embellishing on the front, backed it with coffee dyed paper, and you can see the stitching on the tag. I took one of the little vintage book ephemeras from the kit and I tipped it in with some washi and just did a little collaging on here so you have some journaling spot, and then left this one plain for journaling. And then on this one I added one of the pretty watches. That light's really bugging me. And made a little tag, little tiny tag out of one of the pieces. Just tuck that in there. And then this is a piece of coffee dyed parchment paper. I took some of my parchment paper that I used for baking and I just threw it in my coffee dye one day when I was dyeing some papers, and I think it turned out so pretty. And then on this one I just made a little belly band out of a pair of the vintage gloves. I tucked in one of the little pens and one of the little lipsticks. I think that's so sweet. And on this side I did a belly band out of some coffee dyed paper, one of the little perfume bottles that I did the stickling on, and then I just added a piece of the vintage ledger page to that to give it a little detail. And then there's still plenty of room to do some writing on. And on this side I just paper clipped one of the compacts And on this compact, I just edged it with a little tatting, and I gave her a little rhinestone necklace. And when you open up the compact, I did a little die cut here for a journaling spot and just did a little lace detail on the top there. And then for the center of the signature, I tied it with a piece of that vintage fabric from Doreen's Precious Bits kit. I think that that fabric just goes so beautifully with this kit. I added just a little heart dangle with a little crystal in it. Did a little collaging on this page. And then there's plenty of writing throughout. And flip it, and we've got some of the ephemera piece there that I used, and did a little belly band out of this vintage wedding fabric and the vintage lace. And then a little die cut tag that I did some collaging with the lace and pearls, and left it plain on the back for writing. And then on this side, I used one of the pretty little jewelry pieces, and then just did some little lace, and then just did some collaging on this page and left some areas where you can do some writing. I love the pretty bows that Doreen included in these dresses, are so gorgeous. And then just did little snippets down here with some rhinestones. And then on the back, I just did a little, whoops, lost it. I just did a little stickling on one of the pretty floral ephemera pieces and put that in there. It can be used as a little tag. I backed it with the vintage Ruffles and Roses digital. And then I attached a snippet here to the lace, the top of the lace of the belly band. You have plenty of room in here to tuck something else in. But I wanted to give you some more pieces to work with. And on this one, we've got a little tie of crinkled seam binding and the netting. One of the little pieces that I did the glossy accents on. And then just little pieces throughout of little laces. Here's a little perfume bottle in the glossy accents. More little lace snippets here. One of the lipsticks with the glossy accents. A little heart doily. Some more little lacy fabric snippets. This one is a piece of wedding fabric that had the pearls and the rhinestones on. I printed some words on some muslin, and that one says vintage. And then lastly, we have one of the glossy accented pens. And I think that just looks so pretty on the page. Just layers and layers of goodies. I just love how that looks. Layers and layers of luscious, isn't it? And then this is the page where I tipped in the book on the front. So that's the back of that with the washi. And then I used one of my die cuts and I did a frame, and I cut one of the pretty ladies out and put her in the frame. And then die cut another little tag here and did some lace on the side and the top for the topper. And then just a little lace detail on the bottom. And then you can see the pretty wallpaper that I used to back that with. So that is that clutch. So I used 3 of the clutches, and I just think they are so, so pretty. And it all started, this whole thing started with me just wanting to do the clutches, and then I thought, well, we have to have something to put them in. So that's how this purse folio idea came to play. So there's that one. And then lastly, inside here, I talked about that vintage lace I got from eBay, and I've used it all throughout this project. It's this lace right here. I love this lace so much that I included a little vintage clothespin I wrapped a yard of that lace around, tied it with a little organza ribbon, and I fastened it with a little T-pin that I had made. And I love when I come to the end of the lace, I love doing a little ruffle detail or a little crinkled detail just to give it some interest. So I've included a yard of that beautiful lace that I love so much for you to use. So let's put it all back together and give you one last look. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did making it. Oh, I am so thrilled with how it turned out. I just absolutely love it. It got a little more hefty than I had planned for it to get with all of the goodies, but I went through it again and thought, what could I leave out? And I decided nothing. So I put it all in there and just left it a little chunky purse. So I love taking something as simple as a paper bag and just completely transforming it and turning it into something so beautiful. I think this would be such a treasure to give as a gift or to sit on your shelf in your craft room and have goodies to go to when you're creating your own journals and folios. Have some little goodies to play with and have them at the ready. Let's see which this one went in the pocket. And then this one went into the little belly band. I got on a folio idea. I've been seeing so many wonderful creators making these beautiful folios, and this kind of just morphed into a big beautiful purse folio. So we'll give it another look. I just think it's so pretty. We shall fold it back up. Take this in here, and to get this back through, I found it's easier to kind of twirl up the end of the lace in the corner and poke it through, and then it just pulls through rather easily. I tried several different ideas for a closure, and it was so chunky that it needed just a tie, and I didn't want to tie horizontally around here and take away from the beautiful front and the embellishments. So I chose to do it this way. And then it still looks very pretty from the top. So let's see. We will give it a tie. Pull it tight. Do our little bows. I'm super picky about my bows. I used to dress models for fashion shows in my early fashion career days, and we were super particular about how we tied the bows. They had to lay just right, and that has stuck with me my whole life. And with laces like this, it's kind of hard to get the right side out. But the tails have to be flat. The centerpiece has to be flat. And then you have to get in there and foof up the bow so it's super pretty. So there you have it. This beautiful, beautiful purse clutch folio. There's another look at the front. This beautiful dangle on the side. Oh, pretty from the back. Pretty from the top with all the things peeking through. I just absolutely love it. This was a labor of love. I had so much fun making it. Doreen, your kits are just outstanding. One is just more beautiful than the next, and I know probably get tired of hearing me say that, but it is just so. And this one is so girly and so feminine and so vintage with all the pretty little lipsticks and things that I just had so much fun working with it. And I am a girly girl, as you can tell probably by my little setup here. I've got my pretty little jeweled lip glosses that came out of my own stash, and my little jeweled makeup brushes. So that is what my personal stash looks like. So that'll give you a little idea of why I love this clutch so much, this kit, I mean so much. It had the beautiful clutches, all of the beautiful ephemera. It's just so, so lovely. I just had so much fun, and I hope you have enjoyed watching. I know it's a lot to take in. This will be available by private messaging me. All of my links will be below. And I thank you all so much for watching. As always, thank you for your likes and comments, all of the new subscribers. I'm trying so hard to get to 500, and at 500 I will be doing a giveaway. And all of your likes, comments, and subscriptions help me get that way, get to that point. So I hope you all have a blessed, wonderful rest of your week. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and we will catch you in the next video. Bye, y'all.